Hey everybody, I'm going to be doing some short 10-minute videos, just kind of encompassing all the, relevant bits of information I have about the game that I'd like to share with everybody, just to kind of improve their overall gameplay experience because there's a lot of pitfall mistakes that people can make, especially based on stats. This is going to be mostly oriented towards things like a team arena matches, because if you are not aware, the CP that you queue with is based off of your ranking CP. So whatever the CP is, the highest CP that you ever were able to achieve in this ranking screen, this is the CP that you have to matchmake with in PvP. So this first video is going to be explaining the stats, but the goal is basically going to be to optimize your CP in a way that makes you actually representative of how strong this number says you are without bloating it. So first, I'm going to do this first video just explaining the stats. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep things under 10 minutes, so I might move a little bit quickly. If you do have questions, you could leave a comment and I'll respond to it, or if you DM me directly on Discord, if you have my Discord, or if I'm in any of the public Discords, you could reach out and I'll answer the question. So we're going to open up the stats screen, and I'm just going to kind of fire these all off. So all the stats in attack, defense, these in HP, these are, we'll ignore these recovery stats. Has to do with healing and bonuses to do when you get healed. But every stat you can see on the screen here, these are the stats I will be referring to as primary stats. These do exactly what you would presume them to do. Intuitively, they are exactly the way that you would feel that they would act. Attack increases your damage, defense decreases the damage you take. The elemental attack and defense apply to the element that is being applied. So if somebody's attacking you with a fire weapon equipped, they're applying fire attack, and then your fire defense is then contributing towards your actual defense to come out with the proper defense value. Your HP is a representation of how much damage you can take. Okay, these are the stats I want to talk the most about: accuracy, evasion, crit, and crit resist. These are, I'm going to call these the substats, as opposed to the primary stats like HP, defense, and attack. Through the course of all the different videos I'll be making. Accuracy, evasion, crit, and crit resist. These stats do not do anything that you believe that they do. The rate percent, however, accuracy rate percent, crit rate percent, crit resist rate percent, and evasion percent. Now you can see this basic tech and skill evasion. I don't know why the developers decided to go down this route, probably because they were running out of ideas for boots and they decided to separate them. The three boots that we have to give evasion percent are the basic attack evasion boots, the special skill, the basic skill evasion boots, or the skill evasion boots. I think it's just all skills. And then there is the player evasion rate percent boots. Okay, these rate percents actually do the thing that you believe these flat values contribute to. If I have a higher, and they cancel each other out. So accuracy and evasion have the same relationship as crit resist and crit. Okay, so if I have a higher accuracy rate percent than your evasion rate percent, then I cannot miss you. Now, a lot of people will perceive the accuracy as the offensive stat and the evasion as the defensive stat. But the way that they work, they operate, it's actually kind of reversed. It's the same as crit rate and crit resist rate. What you're trying to do with evasion is kind of treated mathematically in the formulas the way that crit rate is. You're trying to take an event that would happen and alter that event. The event would be being struck by an enemy. That attack hits you, you're in the circle or whatever the thing is, or the range of the thing, it strikes your character, and you're trying to either make that hit a critical hit on the offensive side, or if you're evading, you're trying to make that hit not hit you even though you were clearly struck and failed to evade it. Okay, so these things, instead of being offense, defense, it's probably a bad way to describe it. We'll call these the situation modifiers. These are trying to change the outcome of what actually happened, and either amplify it or make it go away. So these are the stats that are trying to change the outcome of what happened, And this accuracy and crit resist stat are the stats that are used to nullify those effects, and they work in the same way. So for you to be able to evade an enemy, you need to have an evasion rate percent higher than their accuracy rate percent. And then whatever the difference is, so I have 21% accuracy rate percent. So for me to be able to evade, for somebody to be able to evade me, they need to have 22% evasion rate percent, which is sad to say, it's near impossible in this game, which really, really calls into question the value of different gear builds later. But I'm just going to explain how the stats work. We will go with the implications in the future. But basically, accuracy rate percent cancels out evasion rate percent completely. And crit rate percent is canceled out completely as well by crit rate, resist rate percent. So as you can see, I have a crit rate percent of 18.5%, and my resist rate percent is 19% because my Mystic Helm was Awaken 9. It is not possible for me, if I like did a 1v1 fight against myself, I could clone my character completely. It is not possible for either player to crit the other player because the resist rate cancels itself out 1-to-1 with the rate percent. So it's 0. Well, now you have to get into the thing of, well, this person has, in this situation, if it's me against myself, the crit value is so much higher than the crit resist value. So could that not tilt the odds? And yes, the way that that actually works is the crit value stat is a validation stat. It's not an amplifying stat, whereas the crit resist stat is a penalizing stat. So if you have, the same with accuracy and evasion. So if you have a high crit stat, it is higher than the enemy's crit resist flat value, then it allows you to use this in full. It validates your rate percent, whatever your rate percent may be. However, if the enemy has a higher crit resist flat value than your crit stat, then there will be a slight penalty based off of the difference of their crit resist to your crit, and your rate percent will suffer a penalty. Now, notice this does not work in reverse with the crit resist rate percent value. This rate percent value is not related to this crit resist stat. The crit and crit resist flat stats are, they relate to the crit rate percent stat. The crit resist rate percent stat is unchanging. Okay, and the same is going to be true in the accuracy evasion swap for their counterparts as well. If somebody has a higher evasion stat than the accuracy stat, then there'll be a penalty that is applied to the rate percent. Okay, so if you can apply that penalty to the enemy, then it might give you a small edge in the rate percent. However, the rate percent stats are basically absolute. Like, there is no way for somebody to crit somebody who has a resist percent that is higher than their rate percent. And there's no way for somebody to evade somebody that has an accuracy rate percent higher than their evasion rate percent. This is not possible. It is never occurring. Okay, things like cooldown are intuitive. Obviously, attack speed and movement speed, these do exactly what they do. I'm just going to fire the rest of these off because they're all pretty simple. Like, they're actually quite detailed. All crowd control resist rate. That's all type forms of crowd control. Look, it even lists them all here: taunt, freeze, blind, silence, binding. So this is stuff like rooting, for example, like relics, or grasping thorn. Knockdown, most skills have characters have a knockdown skill, and stun. Like, that's basically it. And then we have the element resist rates. Now, these are the damage over time skills. So like corrupt is the darkness one, flash is the light one, then poison is the earth, this is for the water, and this is for the fire. So these are damage over time skills. So when you see on your armor it says there's an element resist rate subline at Awaken 3, this is just to resist the chance that those effects will apply to you if you are hit by an enemy that applies them. And then you just have the drop rate stats. And that's basically it. I'm running out of my time now, so I'm going to call that for the first one for the explanation of stats. This is just kind of meant to be a initial starter for what you need to know for the further implications in the following videos.